Welcome back to the NLP's Non-League Goal Show, our weekly look at all things non-league across the country. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, maybe even leave a nice comment as we look to keep growing this channel. My name is Matt Badcock. I'm joined by our executive editor, Jon Couch, and our Northeast guru, Mark Carruthers. Welcome in, chaps.
Hi, mate.
Hi. Well, good to be here again.
Good. Welcome back. We're another week closer to the big kickoff. It feels like it's getting... really ramping up now, but Morecambe is probably a good place to start. There's big concerns that they're even going to start the season. It's fair to say it's been an ever-changing situation. Just before we've come on here, another statement's come out, having had another statement yesterday, promising another statement. It's statements about statements. Which has obviously it's been a dreadful time for the supporters and trying to find out exactly what's going on. And by the time this goes out, something else might have changed. But the club hasn't been sold. The apparent new mystery buyer has been revealed as Johnny Cato. No further information on that at the moment, with a statement to come later this afternoon. But yeah, a sorry situation for the fans, and really concerning when they just don't know what's happening with their club, and will their club kick off on August the 9th.
Slightly more encouraging, though, that they've actually named someone. It's been dragging on for a long time, and he said, "Oh, there was someone in the pipeline," and fans didn't really believe him. But he's actually come up with a name, which is a little bit more encouraging. But I
think it just depends who this name is, because there's no further detail about it.
Johnny
Is it?
Cato, yeah.
Yeah, who's that, and kind of what's the, So this is in response to someone else being named in the public forum. So it's kind of like, I think for the fans are skeptical of everything they hear at the minute, aren't they? I guess.
Yeah, naturally, and but why wouldn't they? They've been put through the ringer, haven't they? And I mean, at least there's news coming through. It would be worse if the silence continued, really. I just hope they start the season really for the integrity of the National League and the other clubs. You don't want a situation where teams get docked points or have to catch up on matches. We've been down that road before, and it's a bit amateurish. Especially for the National League in a situation where they're bidding for the 3 up, 3 down. It's not a good look. So yeah, fingers crossed that they can get something done, and fingers crossed for the fans as well that they can get their football club back.
I think you've got to feel for the fans more than anyone, haven't you? Because they've been through the ringer in recent years, and you would completely understand why there is no trust in the current owner. So when he's putting out statement after statement and saying this person's interested or that person's interested, when there was already a deal in place and he's gone back on that to go with another party, as it seems, it's just fans don't know where they're at. They seemed to be on the brink of losing the club. We've all dealt with this. We've been in this game long enough to have dealt with situations like this on far too many occasions, and could go into a bigger conversation about football governance and everything that's happening in recent weeks in Parliament. But again, it's the local community, it's the fans who have the club at heart, and it's that old saying that players, managers, owners come and go, but the ones that are always there to pick up the pieces are the supporters. So I just hope, whether it's this deal or whether it's another one, that there is a Morecambe Football Club for years to come, because the local community, it's at the heart of it.
Yeah, I think, like you say, that's the concern, isn't it? That will they get to that point where it is the point of no return? And I think that's possibly coming ever closer unless something gets sorted out. Now, this statement saying that this is going to be going to the National League and all that sort of process that has to go through. I saw the Shrimps Trust had put something out. They'd spoken to the FA the other day, who've kind of said that if something comes along, they will prioritise it to make it sure it does get kind of all through. It's obviously making sure that these checks are also done properly and making sure that it's not rushed through because of that sort of time pressure. So they're going to have to make sure that everything is in line. And as you say there, Mark, I think it is just that, we have been through, we have seen so many of these different situations, written about so many of these different situations. at all levels throughout the non-league pyramid. And we've read about the comeback stories as well. But it doesn't take away, that doesn't ever take away from what it feels like for these fans now, does it? That, that it is a really worrying time, and they are just, probably not even really worried about, like rest of fans all sat through the summer, who you're signing, all that kind of thing, who's your first game against. They just want to know what's happening with their club, and that they can then, hopefully have something to get behind again.
How's it feeling for you at the moment, Badders? I mean, I'm going to out you now as a Sheffield Wednesday fan. You're going through it as well at the moment.
Yeah.
What does it feel like for a fan in a situation like this?
Well, it's dreadful. It's rubbish. It's because you just don't know what's happening, and you've got no control over it. Obviously, I know there's sort of fans groups involved and all that kind of thing, but yeah, you just don't know what's happening, and you're just at the behest of one person, as Morecambe are. And Sheffield Wednesday are in this situation where they need to sell, and but it's all got to go through one person, and that person's ego, gets in the way sometimes, and you just don't know what's happening. You see your club kind of crumbling, and it's wondering what will happen. How will you come? What will be the end result? Will it be a takeover and you can start moving forward, or will it get worse before it gets here? Have we hit rock bottom yet? Yeah. Don't know. Can't answer it. It's just it's just, this is, as Mark's saying, football governance, one of the big problems that we seem to have in this country. And talking about the 3 up from the National League and that situation and pushing for it, and it kind of, I think we've said about this before, it kind of makes you smile a little bit when I've seen things in the past from clubs within the EFL saying, well, we're a little bit concerned about the National League's governance and all this kind of thing, and the salary cap management protocols and that which is coming in and all this kind of thing. You're thinking, yeah, but let's have a look at the EFL's governance. Now, this is not a new thing. This hasn't just cropped up in the last 6 weeks. This has been happening for our colleagues on the rugby paper writing about this Bond group 2 and a bit years ago, even longer than that, around Worcester Warriors. They've already got rid of a club. And this has been, this is not just suddenly, we've logged on one day and something's happening at Morecambe. This has been coming. So why has it been allowed to get down to this point? It's ridiculous that it's been allowed to get down to this point. And this is one of the things, if you're in the EFL, I'll be thinking, yeah, great, I'll have 3 up because you can give me 3 clubs and I can bin off another couple of 3 that are coming down in crisis. And unfortunately, and I know people criticise the National League's governance over lots of different things, but they do get lumbered with these issues. This is now effectively no longer a Football League issue. I know they're sort of involved in some form, but technically this is now a National League's problem. So here you go. Here's another problem for you. You've had Southend. You had to sort that out. Now here's another one for you. Oh, thanks very much for Barnet and Oldham, by the way. It's kind of, it's too easy for them to let it drift. And then the natural course of these clubs is that they get relegated, and they hope eventually they get relegated out the Football League. So it's kind of, and then not your problem. So
the problem is that the National League will end up becoming like a rehabilitation centre for clubs.
They
are.
And I think, to their credit, and you're right, there is a lot of flack flying around for the National League, and some of it I think we can say is kind of merited. There is some substance to it, but they have done that pretty well in recent seasons. You mentioned 2 great examples with Oldham, with Barnet, and you look at Southend as well. I mean, some of the reporting on the Southend situation made you realise very quickly just how serious it was, and you look at where they are now. They seem to be getting back on their feet. I think they'll be there or thereabouts this season in terms of the playoffs. Yeah. So you don't want to become that, really, because you shouldn't have to be. It's great that they have been able to do that, the National League, but I think the EFL need to get their own houses in order before looking to the National League and criticising what's going on there.
Yeah, I think it goes right through. Chester City is always the one that sticks out to me because it's the first year I was covering on the paper, and there was this whole sort of, they came down, they were allowed to start the season, and it trickled through until eventually I think the players refused to board the bus, and they went pop in the middle of the season. Points were taken off and all that kind of thing, and as you said earlier, Couch, the integrity of the league was completely shot, kind of by something that wasn't anybody's doing, and this is one of the issues now. I know we're sort of zooming out from the that sort of that important picture of what's happening for Morecambe and their fans, and obviously you feel for them. But there is this sort of kind of like knock-on effect, and this is not a problem. I think colleague Chris Dunleavy wrote about it in a column a few weeks ago, where he said, this Morecambe situation has kind of been like when you're driving down the motorway and you see all the brake lights suddenly jump on in front of you, you can see what's about to happen, and the crash is coming, and this is what's happened, and it's it's just a dreadful situation. Like I say, I feel sorry for the fans. You say, I've sort of got first-hand experience of it, and it's just frustrating, and you question why you like football, because this is not what people watch football for. It's for connection, for community, yes, for results and all those kind of things. But it's that having your team that you follow, the people you watch it with, the people you talk to about it, the people you moan about it with. It is, it's not just about football on a Saturday at 3:00 and what happens in that 90 minutes. Is everything else that comes around with it, and that's why you feel so much for the fans.
Yeah. Totally.
Obviously, in recent years up here in the Northeast, I've had, sort of Spartans going through that situation. I've had Gateshead taken to the brink, going further back. There was Darlington, who kind of went through a similar situation in the National League, didn't they? And it's just happening far too many times across the country. And this is why we keep going back to it. But this is why the governance bill has to be passed and put into action as soon as possible to stop owners who shouldn't be anywhere near football clubs from getting in control and having them in what seems to be like a vice type grip. Like you mentioned, and obviously going back to what you were saying about Sheffield Wednesday, what Chancery's doing there is ridiculous, and it's happened so many times in the last decade in particular. It's time for action rather than just words constantly.
Yeah, I agree. And again, not a situation that's just cropped up suddenly, been coming for years. And I know, it probably is it's probably just the natural thing. Let's just hope that this works itself out, because probably there are quite a few clubs who get in these situations and it does work itself out and it's kind of all right. And that's the hope. But, this regulator that comes in, let's see the other. I know a lot of it sounds good on paper, but let's actually see what would the regulator do in this situation? What can it do? And that's you then starting to get into all sort of like company law and all that kind of things around. So what can the regulator do? What will it be any different? And how will that be administered? And let's hope it is. But I think we need to sort of also kind of see that in action, how it stops things from getting to this point.
We've got a story going in the NLP this week. You asked what the regulator can do. I think one thing it can do, and it's quotes attributed to Altrincham chairman Bill Waterson, saying that what they can do is be transparent with fans, keep fans informed and educated throughout. And I think that's a really good point. I think you're spot on there. And so hopefully we can get this link really between boardroom level and on the terraces, and I think football will be a better sport for it.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's fans for so long in football have been not in every club, because lots of clubs that have fans in boardrooms and they do great work, and lots of clubs really are engaged with their fan base. But it's very easy for somebody to not be, and fans being at the heart of football is kind of, it's like, oh, that's a great idea. It's like, why wouldn't they be? That's the sort of point of it. Because if ultimately, if everybody stopped going, then we wouldn't have football. Unfortunately, football is this stupid sort of drug that keeps us all involved and all caring. You can say so, well, I just won't bother now. I'll just stop caring. But it just doesn't work like that. And there's been obviously lots of people have been disillusioned. We've seen that great boom in non-league football, haven't we, where people have fallen out of love with the higher end of the game and all the sort of crazy money that's going, being thrown around, and finding sort of more kind of solace in what they want in non-league football. So I guess that's the positive, and just hopefully that
like Andy Carroll.
Well, this is it. I mean, talking about it is funny though. You talk about, this is the weird thing about non-league football. There's often talking about nobody's got any money, and then
no one's got any money.
But there are some clubs who've got.
No one's got any money in National League South.
Well, it's silly. It's kind of almost becoming, money it's always been, isn't it? Money's always been important, but the game's definitely going. The non-league game is definitely far away from the one I first started watching. you know,
100%.
Which is great. It brings real positives, but
and it goes right the way across the pyramid, because every manager you speak to says, well, you know, the budget's kind of what it is. It's not what everyone says it is. Well, you know what? Sometimes it kind of is, and we know it is because we see the players that are coming in. We see the investment going in behind the scenes. That doesn't happen for free. And I know, you know, Andy's obviously invested in the club as well, hasn't he? He's becoming a part owner and such like. And I've got no doubt that he spoke about it in Bordeaux, didn't he? That he was kind of effectively almost losing money playing for them, and he just wanted to enjoy his football. So, but yeah, I mean, the whole thing of budgets being spoken about, and you know, managers and chairmen saying the budget's not what everyone else thinks. It's just like sometimes you have to laugh it off and sort of almost ignore it, don't you? Really?
Yeah, we've got a story going in this week, haven't we, from the Worthing manager Chris Agata, talking. I think his quote was, "We're not the Man City of the league," and I think a lot of people suspect they might have been the last couple of seasons. They've had 3 really, really good seasons, but all of a sudden they found themselves in a National League South, which is piled up and stacked up with some big guns now. And it's going to be fascinating this year. It really is.
I wonder if we're coming across 3 like angry old men here. Or grumpy.
I know we've sort of got a bit grumpy, haven't we? I know what's happened here. Didn't mean to start. It's supposed to be a light-hearted YouTube show. We weren't supposed to be doing taking all the serious, moans and groans on. But I think, and Dagenham haven't come out and said they're not spending money or anything like that, have they? So let's be, we're not having a pop at Dagenham here by any stretch or anything like that. But and it's always been interesting that, sort of going slightly off the point again, but people always talk about money, as you say. Fans always talk about it as well. You kind of remember clubs kind of really being sort of almost going to the wall, get a takeover, start spending money. People sort of feel sorry for them. Then they start getting money. Oh God, well they're sort of chucking money about. It's jealousy and things like that.
Jealousy.
Fans used to go mad about sort of Salford and people like that because they were really struggling to get out of the leagues, and they had all these clubs coming kind of through. Then they got the takeover, and yes, they got great history and everything, but that's what's helped them get up, and that is the game in this country, whether you like it or not. Through all levels, money does talk. Like I say, Dagenham haven't come out and sort of said, "Oh, we're not spending money" or anything like that, have they? But it is a big signing. Does that signing like that? Does he have to say, "Well, you got to go and win the league now"?
I mean,
possibly.
Help.
It's a sign of intent, a sign of huge intent. From what we believe, what they've offered him, you're talking a big commitment. They're giving him a 3-year deal at the age of 36 and a part ownership in the football club. I think they've certainly put their money where their mouth is, and you'd have to suggest that they'd be in the equation. They'd have to be. But I think they're going to have to go a little bit more if they're going to make themselves favourites. Even I think that's a tough league there.
If I can go into slightly football romantic tones here,
let's bring it back. Let's bring it back, Mark. Let's bring it back.
Well, I'll do it. So
remember why we love football.
I mean, obviously, you both know that I watched Newcastle a lot growing up, and like there was no greater sight for a spell than seeing Andy Carroll attacking a cross from out wide and bullying a defender. And his time in the first team was kind of all too brief, really, sort of 2.5 years, and then got whisked away for that big money move to Liverpool. But like, I may not get to see it this season, being in the National League South. I certainly won't get to see it as much as if he moved back to the North East. And I do believe one of the Northern Premier League clubs in the North East put something to him as well, by the way, from what I was told by someone connected. But I hope it goes well for him, because from his career being sort of hampered by injuries at West Ham and Liverpool, and when he came back to Newcastle, it didn't quite work out for him. But I love the fact that the latter years of his career have kind of almost seemed to have become about the love of the game rather than can I get a big deal and go and play, in America, or can I go there? He's, by his own admission, he's kind of lost money playing in Bordeaux, but wanted to go to a club that were trying to resurrect themselves. And we know it's family reasons why he's come back. He's already stated that in an interview. So I really do. I hope it goes well for him. I mean, I remember watching him in an FA Youth Cup, Premier League reserve game when he played against David Weir, big Scottish experienced defender at Everton, and there was all this talk about Weir will put him in his place, this kind of 18-year-old upstart, and Carroll just bullied him for 90 minutes, and it was brilliant watching it because it was like just absolutely dominated him. And I do. I've always liked Andy, and I hope it goes well for him. I really do.
His momentum was injury killed his momentum, didn't it? For a long time, and probably in his peak years, and that kind of robbed him of his peak years. Not only at club level, international level as well. I think this was a player who had bettered himself in the England squad, and with England had high hopes of him in it, and injury kind of killed that, didn't it? So everyone deserves a crack after the disappointment he's endured.
He went to a tournament with the number 9 shirt as well, didn't he, for England? I always think about that brilliant header he scored against Sweden. I mean,
Sweden, yeah.
There are not many better headers than that. That sort of ball from Gerrard in, and he sort of, it was
what a goal that was.
That was unbelievable.
There was like ridiculous comparisons made though, wasn't there? Like when he scored that, it was purely just because it was against Sweden. It was like, it's like a Zlatan-esque header, and it's like,
sit yourself down, Zlatan. Watch this, mate.
Yeah, but no, it's just
Ibrahimovic didn't score in that game. No, he didn't. I think did he hit the post or something?
Yeah, I mean, with Andy, like I say, I really hope this works out, and I hope it's a success, and that he's happy personally and professionally. And just having seen his journey from sort of 16, 17-year-old, where he was on the verge of being released by all accounts at Newcastle, and then sort of kick-started and really got things going. And I hope it does work out, and he finishes on a high.
Bit of a wake-up call Tuesday night, wasn't it? At home to Crawley, first pre-season friendly. Wow, 5-1 defeat in front of just over 900 fans.
It's only pre-season, Couch. You know what about pre-season?
Pre-season. Welcome to non-league football.
We're back to Grumpy again.
Yeah, back to Grumpy
again. Cool, don't play non-league.
If the cat fits.
I agree with what you're saying there, though, Mark. It's sort of nice. I do sort of respect players who come down, because you don't, they don't have to. No. You don't have to come down and play at these sort of levels. And
36 years old, he could have.
I always sort of always enjoy sort of seeing those
up and.
Yeah, they're doing it for, he isn't doing it for money, is he? He's doing it because he loves it. I like seeing players like that who come down.
Me too.
And they're sort of the back nine.
He's a guy who likes the high life. He was living it at the moment. He could have quite easily said, "That's me done," and stayed on the beach for the rest of it.
He could have probably got a bit of media. Do you think he would have got a bit of media work up your way as well, Mark?
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, but I think that the plan was.
I know he's sort of based down here, isn't he? But
yeah, I think the plan was always to stay in London. So I think it would have been. I mean, not to say he wouldn't have got something down there, become a columnist for a non-league paper maybe now. Not the northeast based one though, I should say.
Yeah. Something we need to talk about actually, Mark.
I'm not being replaced. No. I'm better in the air anyway, despite my diminutive stature. No, I think he's gone there for personal reasons, and there will still be that burning desire and to succeed on the pitch as well. And you mentioned players coming down. I mean, good example up here is Julio Orca, who retired and then came out of retirement and played with South Shields and ended up winning.
As at step 5 as well.
Yeah, well, he was step 6 when he signed.
Step 6, he went in before, yeah, of course he did, yeah.
And then, got promotions into the NPL and won at Wembley in the Vos final. And I still remember the semi-final. He came off the pitch in tears because he'd never played at Wembley at club level. So, there are great stories out there, aren't there? And this could be another one.
Yeah, I always like the Barry Hales one because obviously started in non-league. Picked up by Paul Fairclough when Fairclough was at Stevenage, and he was playing left back. Fairclough sort of turned him into a striker, and he's gone on this football league career, gone on and played in the Premier League at Fulham, and then came back into non-league. I think he might have only he's sort of involved. I don't know if he's still playing as such, but he's obviously still well involved. But yeah, when he was at Truro, he used to drive down on a Thursday for training. They put him up in a caravan, so he'd stay there Thursday night, Friday night, play Saturday, and by all accounts had a good time off the field as well. But yeah, just went down, played purely for the love. And it was Jay Cash, who's sort of a Truro legend, was talking to me about it recently. We did a good, bad, and ugly feature for the paper, and he's saying, he was just so good, just bullied people, just unbelievable, and even in that sort of part of his career. And he's obviously played on and on since then as well. You look at like Kevin Ellison and people like that who are still going, had a great career, just signed on for another season as well, hasn't he? So there's so many great examples. Carlos Edwards was another one. I used to like watching him at Bury Town. Carlos Edwards, yeah, he was a good one. Yeah, he was like going running midfield. But talking of midfielders, one of the big signings, Greg Ollie joining York City. Obviously, Mark, someone you've covered and spoken to countless times, had that horrible injury last season. But if he's back fit and back as the Greg Ollie that we've all known for many years at Gateshead, what a signing that is for York.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is going to be that question. I think Greg will know that he's got to answer questions about his fitness. I know there was a bit of EFL interest. I think a couple of clubs want to take him on trial, obviously to assess that fitness level. I mean, we look back, and I think this time last year, he had a great pre-season with Gateshead and went into the first day of the season, scored a hat-trick, first ever hat-trick of his career against Ebbsfleet on the first day of the season. And then 7 days later, he's wondering if he's going to play again because of that. I'll be careful what I say here. How can I put it? That physical challenge that was put in on him. I really do have to be careful. But anyway, Greg is, I mean, I've dealt with Greg ever since he joined Gateshead, and he'd been through everything with them, the highs and the lows, nearly going out of business, players threatening to go on strike under the former owners, winning at Wembley, losing at Wembley, everything, FA Cup runs, and all the time he dealt with it really professionally. You may have a different take on his interview in the back end of last season, I guess, whether that was professional, but there was reasons that he felt he had to say what he said. But yes, if he gets back to full fitness, if he is where Greg Ollie should be, then they have a player that can lead them in the Football League. I've got no doubt about that, because playing in that number 10 role, there are few better in the National League. And I really mean that. I think I did an interview with one of the BBC channels up here, and I said, talking about Regan Boutio, I think we're going to speak about, and I said he's a Football League player and everything but status. Now he is a Football League player and status. And I think Greg was very much the same thing, where he was a Football League player playing in the National League. And great character, great leader, massively talented, and another very good addition to what's been a very good summer for York.
Yeah, they've made some really good signings across the board. Obviously kept the ones they wanted from last year as well. I just can't move away from them as being favourites for the title at any point now. And you just keep, we've got a piece in the paper this week, Ollie Banks, who's obviously won this league already with Chesterfield, who signed earlier in the summer. But yeah, Greg Ollie, just think it's just such a good signing. Signing, because as you say there, Mark, it's not just his ability on the pitch, but the way he kind of carries himself off it, the way he leads. Yes, there was that interview at the end of last season, but that was born out of frustration, right? And sort of just feeling like things needed to be said. And I think you saw probably what's quite telling from that interview was the reaction from people was like, well, good on you for saying it. It wasn't like, look at this kind of guy sort of going off on it. Yeah. So
I mean, I remember it was a couple of days before Christmas last year. I met him at Gateshead's at International Stadium, and we spoke about everything at the club that had gone on, managers leaving, and more specifically about his own injury and his sort of mentality throughout it all. And it would have been very easy to, and I'm not going to name him, but throw the person that did it to him, to throw him under the bus and to be heavily critical of him. And he didn't. He kept sort of high professional standards throughout it all, and that summed him up. And yeah, Greg cared about Gateshead Football Club. Greg still cares about Gateshead Football Club. I don't mind saying he was at their game against Sunderland on Saturday, or last Saturday, I should say. still really highly thought of by people who are still at the club. So, yeah, I really hope he goes. I sent him a message actually booing him when the deal was announced. And then saying, good luck, I hope it goes well. But I've got no doubt if he can hit those levels again, he'll be the one that could be the difference maker in the title race.
Difficult for Gateshead to replace him and Booty.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken to Alan Armstrong a few times in recent days, and there was obviously the piece that went online last night when the Booty deal was confirmed going to Barrow. Alan told me last week that if players go, which he expected maybe one or two will, then they will be able to bring in replacements. Now, the challenge then is finding replacements to replace everything they bring, so which is never easy, given there were two of the finest midfielders in the National League, I think we can say. But they are talking to 4 players Alan wants to bring in midfield and sort of forward areas. He wants to get those deals done as soon as possible. And I will keep saying this do still have a decent squad. It does need work, unquestionably, but name a squad that doesn't at the moment. There's still managers working across the country, and Alan seems confident he can get players in that will help them. Again, it's going to be a tough season. It's going to be a very different season for Gateshead, but it's a club that's always thrived in adversity, and why can't they do it again?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've had this step 3 and 4 fixtures are out this week. Will be in Sunday's paper in all their glory before everything changes when trophy runs, cut runs. But yeah, the as we said at the start, the season is a little over 3 weeks away. Now, who are you? I'm interested to sort of hear. Obviously, we can't go through everything in step 3 and 4 because so many clubs. But who are the ones that kind of you boys are looking forward to seeing this year? How they fare? What sort of intriguing you sort of across step 3 and 4 this year?
My old muckers, Farnham Town, back-to-back promotions, big ambitions under Harry Hugo and manager Paul Johnson. They've been tremendous. I think they've lost 4 games in 2 seasons or something silly. Scored bags of goals. Got themselves as a step 3 for the first time. Which, I mean, I say the mile muckers, they were a lot different prospect when I first. When I reported on them for the local paper, and now look at them and find themselves at step 3 and still looking up. And they haven't had to do a great deal in the summer because they had a strong enough squad as it is. But they've sort of just strengthened in a couple of areas and just picked off a couple of class players. And they look the real deal. And I wouldn't put it past them adding another promotion. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely an example of how to grow a club really, really quickly. As you say, that not that many years ago, they were not getting, kind of
on
big
and off
gates.
the field, yeah.
It's just been amazing. Their growth has been amazing, and that just shows if you come in with ideas and energy, you can really really grow sort of a club. And obviously they've done it through sort of like online stuff as well, and the crowds that they've been getting up, getting over 1,000 down there as well. And it's definitely a great example of how to rise really quickly and with real sort of a lot of fanfare around you as well. I've got mates who sort of down that way would never watch Farnham Town, but they've been down to see Farnham Town now. So
he was at RNGA's, wasn't he, back in May?
Harry Hugo.
He sat next to me, and he was great company, real class act, and talks very well. And anyone with a personalised registration plate on a roller is good enough for me.
Yeah, you got personalised one on your cash guy, haven't you, Couch?
I have, my little toy one about that.
Mark, who are you looking forward to? Are you keeping an eye out for this season and interested to see how they go?
I'll say me and Couch have very different standards when it comes to managers. I mean, looking at I think Stockton Town. I think I talk about them quite a lot as kind of the story of the North East non-league scene over the last decade. That rise from Teesside League to Wearside League to Northern Premier League into the step 3, and it's been a remarkable journey where it's been built on kind of a core of the same people. Where you look at Adam Nicholson, the captain, and and centre-back partner Tom Coulthard, they've made I think it's over 1,100 appearances for the club, which is just ridiculous. And they just keep progressing from level to level to level and proving themselves at new levels. And I still think they could go one further. And I think everyone knows the way last season ended for Stockton was heartbreaking, getting into the playoffs in the first ever season in step 3, to then win a semi-final and go into a final with a good chance of progressing, albeit it would have been a stern test of their credentials, as every playoff final is. But to be removed from the playoff final in those circumstances, it was heartbreaking. And I'm really, really intrigued to see how they react this season. Now, they've had a good summer recruitment. When you add players like Amor Purewal, who had a great season with Hebburn last year, really strong addition in an area that probably needed to strengthen certainly the depth of quality at the top end of the pitch. But they've made a number of shrewd additions. I really like Michael Dunwell and his coaching staff. I think they're just ultra professional, attention to detail, proper leaders, set the example, set the tone, all the stuff you need from a management team. And I don't think they'll be too far away this year. And I think the NPL Premier is, I think it's a wide open one this year. I really do. I think there's a number of clubs with a good chance, and Stockton are very much in that group. I look at the NPL East, and I mean, from a Northeast point of view, there's 9 clubs in there this year, which is, I mean, personally, I think it's something that should have happened years ago, but that's another episode, probably
whole episode.
And I look at that, and I have to look towards the 2 newcomers and Blythetown and Redcar Athletic. Redcar have got great experience in the dugout, and Carl Jarrett, former Mask manager. They have great experience throughout the squad. They made a number of good, solid additions during the summer. They've got some really promising young players as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to the NPL, to everything that comes with it, the travel and such like. So I'm really looking forward to them. And then Blythetown, who, of course, they've had 2 promotions in 3 years now. And again, maybe gone down a slightly different route with some younger additions. They obviously, I don't want to get into Spartans again too much because we had a bit of chat about that last week, but that adds an intriguing angle to the season with, 2 Blyth clubs, and the first time they'll face each other in a league game. So it's going to be an interesting season for them. They've got Gavin Fell in charge, who, Gavin was part of the Spennymoor Town side that won the FA Vars, part of the coaching staff, I should say, part of the Whitley Bay staff that went and won the Vars, and someone who knows what it takes to thrive that level. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they adapt. So, but that division, more than any, I don't mind saying, is intriguing me ahead of the new season, and I can't wait for that to get going.
Yeah, definitely. Some side, that Whitley Bay Vars team from those years, wasn't it? Was it 3 in a row? And
Paul Chow.
Paul Chow.
So brilliantly was described by one of his teammates as the best, worst footballer ever. And that, I'm fairly certain it was Paul Robinson, who's just retired, by the way, who scored in one of those finals. Robbo, one of the best non-league players I've seen. I don't mind saying that. But yeah, I mean, Gavin was a big part of what went on there, and a big part of everywhere he's been. And Blythetown's no different. He was assistant manager to Michael Connor this time last year. And then when Michael went across to Spartans to take charge there, Gavin stepped up and guided them to promotion. And is really excited. I had a good chat with him the other week. Really excited about what lies ahead at a new level.
Yeah, I remember covering Whitley Bay's first leg in their semi-final down at Poole Town, and sort of a bit of message board chatters. Message boards were more of a thing probably back in those days before Twitter and things. Of was Chow called a donkey or something by some fans, and did he go and score? Did he score a hat trick in the second leg or something like that?
I think so.
He certainly scored the.
Yeah, I mean, Paul was phenomenal, wasn't he? Like, just a stereotypical goal scorer, just right place, right time, and did it right until the end of his career as well. Yeah, we don't see many of them these days.
How quick was his goal at when I can never remember? It's because it was at 21 seconds. It's always sort of like this. It clouds my mind because on the day when it happened, there was a lot of sort of, as it is when these things happen as a journalist, especially when you're non-league finals day, you're still sort of probably chewing down your bacon roll that you don't normally get anywhere else. And you sort of come out and Wembley's there and the ball kicks off and game kicks off and the ball goes back and then it gets launched forwards and you're sort of, this is, you're sort of like looking around and thinking, oh God, he sort of nipped in between the keeper and the centre half, rounded it and rolled it in, and you sort of thinking, what's going on? What's happened? How quick was it? I think it was 21 seconds. Was it who beat it? Was it Man City when they scored their FA Cup final?
Yes, but there was also because, and he's very, he was very annoyed about this. There was obviously Tottenham had that season playing at Wembley, didn't they?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Christian Eriksen beat it. But he
Eriksen,
was like,
yeah, because he come out. I remember in terms of he came out of training, didn't he? His like phone was like blowing up. They'd like lost the record.
But he was like, it doesn't count. It clearly doesn't count because it's a league game. Tottenham shouldn't even be playing there. But then, I can't remember. Was it Bernardo Silva?
Was it Bernardo Silva? Was it Gundogan?
Gundogan, yeah, maybe Gundogan, yeah.
I can't remember that, yeah.
Either way, it's not Paul Chow now, so we can go with
that. He had like a mural up or like a thing up on the wall at Wembley, didn't it, for a period of time. But,
he beat, he beat Di Matteo's record, didn't he? Was it Di Matteo before him?
That was at the old Wembley.
I think at the old Wembley.
Was it the old Wembley?
That was off the underside against Middlesbrough. I think it was against Middlesbrough.
Yeah, back in the
Cup final. Yeah, off the other side of the bar. But yeah, it was some starting. They obviously went on and walloped Wroxham that day as one of their three victories. Interesting because actually Wroxham in their semi-final second leg, they scored after about 13 seconds, I think it was, in their semi-final second leg against Whitehawk, I think it was. So entrenched in my mind for being sat in an old press box, was an old dugout on the that they used to have. They had new ones on the other side, and the rain coming in, and lucky having an golf umbrella could sort of like wedge between myself and the wall and just sort of tap away under the umbrella. This is what we're back to romance. This is why we like non-league football, lads. This is it's not all doom and gloom, Couchy.
No, that's it. No, I think Mark's right. We should rename this the old Gits.
Well, we were going to talk about the National League Cup, but we're out of time. We're going to talk about our excitement for the National League Cup. We're out of time, so we have to push that back to next week.
Or just read a column that may or may not be on the Non-League Paper website.
It's on there. It's on there.
Talk about the excitement of the National League Cup draw. We're all excited about that. So in this week's non-league paper, we've got, as I said earlier, Ollie Banks interview talking all things York, obviously covering the Morecambe situation, hopefully catching up with Scunthorpe manager Andy Butler. We've got Aaron Wildig, who's signed for Gloucester City, a former Morecambe player. We've got a piece with Curzon Ashton, Howes Owen, Gainsborough Trinity, Brantham Athletic, MK Irish, South Liverpool, lots in there. Thank you very much for joining us, chaps. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. As I said, please like and subscribe. Leave us a nice comment. Let us know who your signing of the summer has been in the comments. Let us know who the big name star that's come down into non-league later on in their career and you've enjoyed watching. Let us know that, and we'll look forward to reading those and discuss them next week. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon.